You hear them before you see them, their long arms outstretched above you, hugging the sky and observing each step you take. They whistle and wallow, wave and watch, as you step and follow, walk and stop. It's the characters in the forest which guide your walk. They stand alone from the others, separate and stalk, each with its own gnarly shape and solitude. Standing tall and still, they have a silence that speaks. So still, you barely hear their voice, which is a quiet hum. Something indescribable, something magical and unseen. The voice of the tree is a song, a trance-like siren which pulls you in and along. From twisted branches to curling leaves, each one unique, dancing with the breeze. They speak to each other, did you know, the characters of the forest? Sharing secrets beneath your feet, through the fungi which line the forest street, they speak to you, the emerald green. They tell you the secret of life, something precious and unseen. Welcome. So this week I want to talk to you guys about building a connection with a location. And I have shot at this location time and time again. And the more I come back, the more I discover compositions, the more I can get a lot closer to the woodland in all the different seasons. I know this woodland is gonna completely come alive at autumn, and that's probably when I'll be shooting it the most. But what I quite like is coming back to this location during the summer when you've got luscious green trees, and it's a new style of photography for me, even though it might be the same characters, the same trees, but it's different, it's more luscious, it's green, it's more inviting of life. So this video I want to talk to you guys a little bit about connecting with the forest or connecting with your location, but not on a kind of just connect. I mean really spend time there, spend time amongst the trees, go there without your camera, put your feet into the moss. And I've done a lot of deep breathing and meditation here, separate to photography, so I do feel an affinity with the location, and it's helped me get familiar with location and what compositions are on offer. I also have some funny names for some of the trees. So we've got Gerald behind us, who I have shot before, which I'll put that image on the screen now. Set you guys back down so hopefully you don't fall over. And that is one of the examples of coming back to a location, returning and shooting a composition time and time again and improving your work. And I think that's when you get the best images. Not only is it perseverance, you're coming back time and time again, but also you're giving the time, energy and attention to your location. I think it's a mutual give and take with you and your location. So I have found a composition. We're not going to shoot Gerald, but we're going to shoot this tree here, which I really like, with that luscious life green in and amongst the woodland. Really stand out. So here is our composition. As you can see in the foreground here, you have this really nice luscious sapling tree, this main tree here, and then these in the background, which seem to balance out the image. Now, looking at the back of the camera, you can see you've got the highlights that are coming through here, these nice uniform trees, and then our main subject with a little bit of a sort of a support of that subject in the middle. So I really like this composition. Settings wise, I am on 1/4 of a second, f11 and ISO 640. I will play around with my shutter speed and my ISO to try and get the best results, ensuring that it's sharp and in focus afterwards. That's our first forest composition captured, and I think it's time for a cuppa. So I'm going to go deeper into the woodland, forage some ingredients and make my very own forest tea, have a little break, and then continue shooting this magical woodland. Now I know this isn't an English breakfast tea, but it is a tea our ancestors used to drink. And all you'll need is some pliers so you can hold the stem of the leaves, small scissors, and a know-how as to what you can and cannot consume. So this is going to be a nettle tea with blackberry leaves. So we have some nettle that I've picked. I've gone for the fresh green leaves, making sure there's nothing attached to them. And then I'm going to put some blackberry leaves in and boil that down. That gets rid of all the stinging nettles and all the sort of thorns that you can get. And make that into a tea, add a dash of honey, and have something that's just packed full of nutrients. It's got iron, vitamins, and it's part of the forest. It's part of being in your environment, and it's something we've had for hundreds of thousands of years. So it's quite funny googling it if I could have it during pregnancy, and lots of people websites were like, oh, you know, there's not enough studies to say if it's safe or not, proceed with caution, and then there were other articles like, this is great, it's got iron in, packed full of nutrients, it's natural. So it's quite interesting when you look at things, and I think we've become quite cautious. It's nettle tea, I think it's fine, especially now that I'm quite far along. So let's go find some blackberry leaves and boil up a cuppa. This will be the last composition. I can feel the pitter-patter of rain coming through, so let's frame up this last shot. And as you can probably tell from earlier, it's a very similar setup. Forest photography very much is more so repetitive in technique, as you can see, but the key is looking for the composition. This one I really like. I always say I really like. I like them all, of course. Why I wouldn't pick them if I didn't like them. You realise you say certain phrases, and that's one that I say quite a bit. So pop the polariser on. Make sure that's all secure. Our last composition of the day. Now what drew me to this image is this tree here. You've got a lot of curvature, you've got a lot of arms that are crawling out from the ground, and then in the middle to break it up you've got this sort of leading, a little bit of a line coming through, another subject, and then in the far ground you have your second subject, which is surrounded by these luscious green trees. This image for me, I feel like, is another sort of leading line as you go down. It's got different subjects and components to it. It's quite good because I'm on a hill, so shooting down into the woodland, I don't get that glare or that brightness of the sky. So if I tilt you down now, you can see you've got these pockets here, and that sky is what you really want to eliminate, because I feel like it can be quite distracting and quite harsh in the images. So settings wise, we have a really still day. The leaves aren't moving too much, which is going to be in my favour hopefully. So making sure your shutter speed is a good shutter speed, as I said before, so that everything's sharp. And ISO, I think with this camera I can push it a little bit more than my previous one, so there will be a bit of play in sort of the dynamic range of the image. And aperture wise, I would say start at f8, which is generally your base for landscape photography. Then, if you want a little bit more depth of field as you go through, up to f11 and beyond, but generally around f8, f11 is your sweet spot, I'd say. But if you do have wind coming through that's rustling those leaves, then try and drop it down to f8 if you can, and then crank up your shutter speed. But let's take this image, last one of the day, sadly, and see how this one turns out. And that's the end of this week's video. I hope you have enjoyed it and taken something away from this video. And I do want to continue filming in this style. This is very much aligned to me, and not doing shift work has allowed me to really explore how I want this channel to go. So join me in my next video, whenever that may be. Thanks for your support, and don't forget to like and subscribe the video. It really helps. Take care.